Very good morning, children. In a previous class, you learned about the lymphatic system and what are the parts associated with that lymphatic system, what is the importance of lymphatic system, you learned. So, till yesterday's class, we completed how the heart is helping in pumping blood to the different parts of the body and how the heart is receiving the blood from different parts. Then what is the need of lymphatic system? All that we have completed. Today we learn about the evolution of that transport system in living organisms. Okay. So what does it mean? What are the changes brought in the transport system from the primitive organisms to higher animals like human beings? Is it clear to you? So now we are going to learn about the evolution of transport system in different organisms. Okay. So now if we observe the unicellular organisms, which are made up of a single cell, and the unicellular animals or multicellular animals with which they are made up of means the cells. Cells are the basic structural and functional units of all living organisms, and the cells are covered with a membrane called cell membrane, and that cell membrane is helping in sometimes, not sometimes. So all the times through this cell membrane or plasma membrane, the entry and exit of materials is going to happen. Is it clear to you? Now if we come to that point, taking into consideration the transporting of materials, so in unicellular organisms, so you know that they are made up of a single cell only, and that single cell animals, so that plasma membrane, whatever it is covering, that required cell organelles, few cell organelles which we are observing, which is there inside that membrane, that is protoplasm, whichever is present. So that protoplasm, if it gets separated from this cell membrane, then the problem will be there for transporting materials. So but is it happening there like that? No. So it is not happening. Is it not, children? So here that protoplasm, whichever is present inside the cell, it is creating its own currents of movements which helps in transporting the materials. Have you followed? So the protoplasm, whichever is present inside the cell, is helping in transporting, means distributing the materials, needy materials inside the cell. Is it clear to you? Then unicellular like amoeba, if we see, or paramecium or euglena, if we observe, as they live in water, everyone knows that they are aquatic animals. So what is going to happen here? The materials which are present outside and the carbon dioxide or other gases which are present inside. So how they are going to be just the exit or entry is going to happen, or the nutrients which are taken inside the cell, how they are going to be distributed of the cell inside this all other cell organelles, how they are going to take, means. So here a movement whichever is created, which we call it as Brownian movement. Brownian movement. So within that cytoplasm only, that movement of protoplasm is going to happen, which helps in supplying the needy materials. Okay, so like glucose you can take, or other materials like gases, oxygen you can take. So all these are going to be distributed among the cell. That is because of what is the current whichever is created in the protoplasm. Is it clear to you? So that protoplasmic movement whichever is happening inside that unicellular organisms is called as Brownian movement, which helps in transporting the materials. Is it clear to you? Then the unwanted materials which are produced are sent out of the cell, or needy materials are sent inside the cell through the plasma membrane, and that distribution is going to happen through the protoplasmic currents. Is it clear to children? That you know and you have learned already in previous classes. Protoplasm, which contains the major component said to be water. So water as major component present in protoplasm, is it not? So that movement of protoplasm will help in distribution of materials. Is it clear to you? Then coming to the next point here, the simplest intercellular transportation is observed. Okay, as you know that all the living organisms, as they are made up of many cells, like human beings, if we take, we have so many cells, like nerve cells are there, muscle cells are there, bone cells are there. So different types of cells are present, is it not? So all these cells, they have their own protoplasmic currents, which help in distribution of the materials. So that is retained, whether it is unicellular organism or multicellular organism. That protoplasmic movement is retained in all the living organisms, which helps in transporting the materials. Is it clear to you what I said? So even nerve cells are also having that protoplasmic movement, which helps in transporting the materials, needy materials. But here, what makes the difference of a transportation system from primitive organisms to multicellular organisms, which are highly developed? So that if we observe some structural changes, we are going to observe changes in the sense development we are going to observe in the organs. So they have adapted the special systems which helps in transporting the materials, whatever it may be, whether it is unicellular organism or multicellular organism. The distribution of materials to the cells is happening because of protoplasmic currents which are created inside the cell. Is it clear to children? Then now multicellular organisms, if we come, which are made up of many cells, they develop a more complicated system which helps in transporting the materials. Why? Because they are made up of many cells. So for single celled organisms, there is no problem. Why? Because that single cell alone is helping in performing all the activities. Whereas in multicellular organisms, what is happening? So different cells are organized to form different tissues, and different tissues are performing different functions of our body. Is it not, children? So for that purpose, here in multicellular organisms, we are observing a well-defined systems for transporting the materials. Is it clear to children? Then now we will come to the next group of organisms. So unicellular organisms, you learned that with the help of Brownian movement within the cell, because of protoplasmic currents, the distribution of materials is happening. So if we come to the parazoans. So examples for parazoans are sponges. So examples for parazoans are said to be sponges. So what do they do? So as you learned about sponges in 9th class, they are stationary, they cannot move, non-motile. So they stick on to the substratum which is present in water. That too, they are marine habitat. And what they will do means to supply or to transport the materials within the body, they have adopted a water transport system. So is it clear to you? So as their body is said to be very much porous, so continuously the water currents of oceans will enter inside the body cavity, which is very much porous, and when the flagella are going to be moving, so that helps in movement of water, and that helps in bringing the needy materials inside the cell, and they are going to send away the unwanted materials from the body. Is it clear to children? So special water transport system is there. Okay, water transport system means what? As the porous body we are observing in this sponges, so that water as they are living in marine water, so that water enters through the pores and it forms as a water channel system inside, through which the transporting of materials is going to happen. Okay, so that flagella, when they are moving, that water is entering, and when they are moving in opposite directions, the unwanted materials are going to be sent out of the body. So in that way, this a special water transport system we are going to observe in the parazoans, that is the sponges. Is it clear to you? Then coming to the next point, that is cnidarians. Cnidarians means what? You know that coelenterates. Examples: Hydra and Lobelia. Cnidarians are coelenterates. So in cnidarians or coelenterates, what is happening? In these organisms, as you know that they are said to be multicellular organisms, and they are having a body cavity like diploblastic animals. So here they have a cavity like structure which we call it as a gastrovascular cavity. So inside these organisms, if we observe Hydra you can take, or Lobelia you can take. So Hydra, so it will be there like this. Is it not, children? So if we observe inside the cells, we observe a cavity like structure. Okay, what do we call that cavity? It is said to be gastrovascular cavity. Gastrovascular cavity. So what do you mean by this gastrovascular cavity? That complete gastro means that over related to the digestive system. That whatever the food material whichever reached that cavity will be made to simple form or digested, and it is going to be supplied to each and every cell of that organism through this cavity. Vascular means transportation. So gastrovascular cavity whichever is present, that is helping in transporting the materials to the different cells which are present in that organism. So here the function of digestion as well as transporting materials in these organisms is going to happen through the gastrovascular cavity in cnidarians. So examples are said to be Hydra and Lobelia, etc. So these are also aquatic animals which live in water, marine water, and these organisms, how in these organisms how the transportation of materials is going to happen, that is digested food and other gases like oxygen or eliminating carbon dioxide, all that is happening because of this gastrovascular cavity whichever is present inside them. Is it clear to you, children? Then coming to the next class, that is Platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes. So in this Platyhelminthes, example is said to be Fasciola hepatica, that is tapeworm. Example, tapeworm. Scientific name is Fasciola hepatica, and you know that this tapeworm, it lives as a parasite in human body and other vertebrates. Is it clear to children? So in these animals, we are going to observe a well defined in the sense highly coiled digestive system. Highly branched also we can write. Highly branched digestive system. So highly branched digestive system we are going to observe which is helping in supplying digested food to the different cells. So these organisms are also said to be triploblastic animals, multicellular animals which live as parasites in our body and other vertebrates, children. So directly each and every cell is going to receive the nutrients with the help of a highly branched digestive system. Okay, and at the same time the unwanted materials are going to be sent out of the cells, that is because of a excretory system. Excretory system. Is it clear to you? So this excretory system helps in elimination, eliminating waste from the cells. Is it clear to you? So waste materials which are produced by the cells are eliminated through the excretory system, and the digestive system is helping in supply of nutrients. So the nutrients are supplied to each and every cell directly, that is because of a highly branched digestive system, and waste materials are sent out of the cell through the excretory system. So you know that as these are said to be parasites. Parasites means readily available food is available for them as they live in host organisms. Is it clear to children? So in that way, in platyhelminthes organisms, what is happening? We are observing the system. What is that system? Highly branched digestive system and excretory system. So the entire body of these organisms, if we observe, we see it is filled with the digestive system as well as the excretory system, which helps in transporting materials and that is the nutrients, and taking out or removing the unwanted materials. Is it clear to children? So like that, this in these organisms, this completely highly branched digestive system and excretory system will be seen in platyhelminthes group of organisms. Now we'll come to the next phylum. What is that means? The animals which belong to nematoda. Nematoda or Nematihelminthes. So platyhelminthes, we are observing flat body. You learnt in 9th class. Is it not, children? So in Nematihelminthes, examples are roundworms. Roundworms. They are said to be cylindrical. You learn now. And these roundworms live as parasites again in our body. Ascaris lumbricoides is the scientific name of that roundworm. Is it clear to children? So here, what structure is going to help in transporting the materials? So now, in this nematoda group of organisms, we are going to observe a cavity-like structure. Okay, but it is not real cavity. Body cavity is not seen, but cavity-like structure we are going to observe. So this nematoda group of organisms are said to be multicellular and triploblastic animals. But as they are said to be primitive group of organisms only, so we are going to observe here a cavity-like structure which we call it as a pseudocoelom. Pseudocoelom is present. Okay, so inside this worm, if we see, so which are made up of many cells, inside that we are observing a cavity-like structure. Is it clear to children? But it is not a real cavity because they are also parasites. So real cavity development we are not observing in this group of organisms also. Nematodes, examples are roundworms. Okay, we have seen these organisms. Is it clear to you? So this pseudocoelom is present, and that pseudocoelom is helping in transporting materials to the different cells which are present in these organisms. Is it clear to children? Then distribution of materials is happening through the pseudocoelom, false body cavity. Is it clear to you? In nematoda group of organisms. So till now we completed protozoans, then parazoans, cnidarians, then platyhelminthes and nematihelminthes. So So next class, what is that next class? That is said to be Annelida. So here in Annelida, so examples for this Annelida group are earthworms, then leeches, etc. Okay. So in this earthworms and leeches, what are there? So is there any development of a transport system? Means yes, it is. Okay. So earthworm, if we see, if we dissect and if we observe the earthworm, and so here the most of the body, it is having digestive system, body is segmented. So we have here digestive system like this. Then above and below the digestive system, we are observing a pulsatile vessels. Please make a note of it. Pulsatile vessels. Pulse means rhythmic contraction and relaxation will be there of that particular structure. Okay. So what is that here? A pulsatile vessel, I said. Pulsatile vessel. So what does it mean? Blood vessels are there here. Okay. Blood vessels are there and they are moving, one in anterior direction and other one is moving in posterior direction, all around this organism, earthworm, and one is acting as chief artery and other one is acting as chief vein, like we can think. And so here pulsatile vessel I am talking about. So which helps in pumping the materials. Is it clear to children? So that is the development you are going to observe. Understood? So here we are observing another component of the transport system. Okay, that is said to be fluid content. Fluid content. Is it clear to you? So that fluid content is nothing but blood. So blood is going to be helping in transporting materials. So apart from that, that coelom, true coelom. So in Annelida, we are observing true coelom. That's why these are called eucoelomate animals. From Annelida onwards, what do we call them? Eucoelomate animals. So eucoelomate animals are going to be starting from which phylum, children? That is from Annelida. Very important. Pseudocoelom is present in till nematoda. Please remember that. Gastrovascular cavity is present in Cnidarians. We have to remember all these points. Very, very important. So from Annelida phylum onwards, we are observing a true coelom, body cavity. So this entire inside that segmented structure, we are observing a body cavity in which that some organs, then organ systems we are going to observe. Differentiation of tissues also we can observe. Is it reduced like that we are going to observe. So this one is digestive system. One is moving in this direction, pulsatile vessel, and other one is moving in this direction. Is it clear to you? So one is acting as chief vein and other one is acting as a chief artery which helps in distribution of materials. Okay. So we are observing blood also. So the blood is flowing inside this blood vessel only. Is it clear to you? So pulsatile vessels we are observing along with the fluid. Earlier we didn't talk about the blood. Is it not, children? Earlier phyla, if we see, we didn't talk about this transporting medium, that is blood. So from this group of organisms we are talking about that one. Is it clear to you? So pulsatile vessels we are observing, which we call as blood vessels. Is it clear to children? Then coming to the next group, arthropoda. Arthropoda. So in annelids what you learnt? So here that pulsatile blood vessels we are observing, which helps in transporting or distributing the materials. Like that we learned. Is it not, children? Have you followed? Pulsatile blood vessels are seen in eucoelomate animals. What are they? They are said to be annelids. Examples, leeches and earthworms, etc. Then in arthropods, examples all kinds of insects. What are the developments you are observing in transport system? What kind of evolution has been brought in the transportation? Means here a pulsatile organ we are going to observe. In arthropoda we are going to observe a pulsatile organ. Okay, so pulsatile organ means what here? Heart-like structure is a same. Suppose if we dissect the cockroach, okay, if we dissect the cockroach, we can see okay, it is called head, and we have structures like this. Have you followed? So we have here that pulsatile organs like this. Is it clear to children? So these are called as pulsatile organs, means heart-like structures. But what are missing here? Pulsatile vessels are not there. Have you followed? Pulsatile vessels are not there. So this is called as the entire body cavity. If we observe, it is open spaces we are going to observe. Is it clear to you? Inside that body cavity, open spaces we are going to observe. What are they? This entire space, whichever is there, that one we call it as a pericardial sinus. Sinus means cavity. Is it clear to children? So why it is called as pericardial? Because heart-like structures are present. Pulsatile structures are present here. So that's why here pericardial sinus. That where that heart is present, that sinus is called, or open space is called a pericardial sinus. And here this is called as a perivisceral sinus. Visceral. Why it is called as perivisceral sinus? Because here we observe the digestive system of an insect. Is it clear to you? And here we are going to observe nervous system. So nervous system, perineural sinus. Is it clear to you? So where that nervous system, like we are going to observe, that one we call it as a perineural sinus. Is it clear to you? Apart from these three sinuses, pericardial sinus and perivisceral sinus and perineural sinus, we have head sinus also. In the head region also cavity like is present. Okay children? So coelomate animals only, they are also. So the heart is pumping or blushing blood into the cavity. The entire cavity, entire body cavity is filled with blood. Is it clear to children? Here the blood is not transporting in the blood vessels. Is it clear to you? So directly the heart is pumping blood. So pulsatile organ I said. So here 13 chambered heart we can observe. So that the heart, one, if it contracts and relaxes, what is going to happen? Because of that the blood is moving in this direction. Some amount of blood it is rushed into the head sinus and other three sinuses which are present in the cavity. Is it clear to you? So that's why here the blood is directly pumped into the body cavity. So in all the arthropods, in all the insects, we are observing open type of circulatory system. Open type of circulatory system. Is it clear to you? So in all the insects, we observe open type of circulatory system. What are missing there? The blood vessels are missing. And heart, pericardium, pulsatile organ we are talking about, and sinuses we are talking about. Is it clear to children? But here the supply of gases is going to happen through the respiratory system, tracheal respiration. So through the trachea, okay, so in second lesson we completed, in insects we observe tracheal respiration like that. Is it not? So spiracles are there, atrium is there, atria are there. So through that, when this any insect, when it is that segmented body, when it contracts and relaxes, what is going to happen? Through the spiracles, the air exchange is going to happen. So trachea is taking part in the respiration of exchange of gases. Is it clear to you what I said? So here the blood is going to help in insects. The blood is going to help in supplying nutrients to the different parts of the insects. Is it clear to children? And the blood of insects is said to be colorless and there is no pigment at all. Have you followed what I said? Is it clear to you? So like that, this one you have to remember. So apart from this here, in arthropods, open type of circulatory system we are observing in these organisms, and apart from that, in mollusks also, many mollusca group organisms, and lower chordates also, primitive group of chordates we are going to observe, like Amphiaxis or Belanoglasses. They are said to be lower chordates. Okay, primitive group of chordates. So in all these organisms, like octopus, you can take octopus, that is mollusca group. Is it clear to children? Or other organisms. So open type of circulatory system we are going to observe, even in snails, etc. Have you followed what I said? So open type of circulatory system, what do you mean? You will be given question. Define the term open type of circulatory system. What do you understand with that? When the heart, that pulsatile organ which is present inside the body cavity, when it blushes the blood inside the entire body cavity, then that is called as a open type of circulatory system. So where do you observe open type of circulatory system? In all insects. Example, insects, all insects. Is it clear to children? Then what is that? Mollusca group organisms, then lower chordates. Is it clear to you? Have you followed? Then, so this blood is helping in food material. Is it clear to you? Then, whereas oxygen is directly supplied to the cells through tracheal respiration. Is it clear to children? There is no coordination between what is that respiration as well as circulation. Whereas higher animals, if we see, there is a close relation of transport system with circulatory system. Is it clear to children? Then, now we will come to the next one, the other type of transportation which we are observing in all higher animals. All other higher animals. Then next one is said to be annelids, echinodermates, okay. Then cephalomollusks, that is octopus, okay, and higher chordates starting from fish, amphibians, reptiles, then birds, finally mammals. Is it clear to you? So in all these group of organisms, we are going to observe a closed type of circulation. Closed type of circulation. So what does it mean? In this group of organisms, especially higher chordates, if we observe, that is from fish onwards, we observe a very well defined heart, then blood vessels, arteries and veins. Is it clear to you? Then medium, that is blood, okay. So through which the needy materials are going to be transported to each and every cell present in our body. Have you followed? So what do you mean by this closed type of circulatory system? When the heart is pumping blood to the different parts, that blood is flowing in the blood vessels. So you learned the structure of heart. So arteries are receiving blood from the heart. Is it not? Through arteries only the pure blood is supplied to each and every cell. Inside the blood vessel only the blood is pumped by the heart or supplied by the heart. Is it clear to you? And inside the blood vessels, veins only, they are bringing deoxygenated or impure blood to the heart back again. Is it not? So the blood is flowing inside the blood vessels. Arteries and veins and capillaries are the blood vessels. So inside the blood vessels, the blood is flowing, reaching the heart and supplied to each and every cell present in the organisms, higher animals. What are they? Cephalomolus, echinoderms, annelida. Annelida we learnt pulsatile vessel like. Is it not? Pulsatile vessel acting as chief artery and chief vein. So inside that blood vessel only the blood is flowing. Have you followed? So earthworm's blood also red in color, but RBC is not there, but that hemoglobin is present in plasma in that earthworms. Is it clear to children? Have you followed what I said? Whereas in insects we are not going to observe the blood said to be red in color because hemoglobin is not there and we are not observing any blood vessels. So only the blood is pumped or blushed into the body cavity without any help of blood vessels. So it is called open type of circulatory system. When the blood is flowing inside the blood vessels from the heart or to the heart, then it is called closed type of circulatory system. Well defined heart we can observe, then blood vessels we can see, arteries, veins and capillaries we can observe, then blood we can see, which helps in transporting materials. So what are the materials transported here? So the food materials, that is nutrients, then unwanted materials and the gases, all the materials are going to be transported through the blood only. Is it clear to children? So like that. So let us think once the structure of heart in fish to human beings. So fish, if we observe in fish, the heart is said to be two-chambered. Two-chambered heart we are observing in fish. So one auricle, upper chamber, and lower chamber is called ventricle. So and bronchial heart also we are observing. Why? Because gills are the respiratory organs. So that you learned already in this lesson only. So two-chambered heart we are observing. Coming to the amphibians, we are observing two-chambered heart. Three-chambered heart. In amphibians, we are observing first three-chambered heart. Three chambers are present. Three chambers are present in a heart. So what are those three chambers? Upper two auricles and one ventricle. Here mixed blood is going to be supplied. So what kind of blood is supplied to each and every part of the body? And mixed blood. So while it is pumped to or while it is supplied to each and every cell of the body, at that time oxygen percentage more blood is supplied. When it is when it is brought to the heart, deoxygenated blood, more percentage of carbon dioxide blood is brought. Okay, we observe here caval veins. Caval veins we can observe in the amphibians. So three-chambered heart we can observe in amphibians, frogs. Mixed blood is going to be supplied to each and every cell. Here only oxygenated blood through gills. Is it clear to children? So that's why in fish we call it as a branchial heart. From here onwards pulmonary heart. Is it clear to you? Then next reptiles. So examples you can take crocodiles or snakes, lizards, all that very important point, incompletely divided four-chambered heart. So in reptilia class, we are going to observe incompletely divided four-chambered heart. We are going to see. Have you followed? So now upper two chambers are called auricles, but slowly here the ventricle, whatever it is there, it starts dividing. But here complete division has not taken place. That's why we are calling it as an incompletely divided four-chambered heart. Important questions for you. In bits you will be given. So now incompletely divided four-chambered heart in which group of organisms we are observing? In reptiles. Have you followed what I said? Is it clear to you? In crocodile we observe four-chambered heart, but other reptiles we can see incompletely divided four-chambered heart. And then two auricles are totally separated by the septum, whereas here the septum formation we can observe which is not completely divided into two ventricles. So that's why two auricles separately divided into two, and ventricle it is not completely divided. That's why here incompletely divided four-chambered heart we are observing in the reptiles. Whereas in birds and mammals, all birds, is it clear to you? And mammals. Mammals means you know that the organisms which are going to feed their young ones with the milk, they are all coming under mammals. Lion, tiger, cat, dog or cow, goat, whatever the deers, all these organisms including human beings, chimpanzees, gorillas, whatnot, all which feed their young ones with the milk. So all these will come under mammals. And birds if we take. So birds, they are not going to feed their young ones with milk, but all mammals are going to feed their young ones with milk. So from class birds and mammals, so what we are going to observe? Completely divided four-chambered heart. So completely divided four-chambered heart, where do we observe? From the phylum birds and mammals. So now here you can observe the heart which is divided completely by vertical and horizontal septa. Upper two chambers are called auricles and lower two chambers are called ventricles, and well defined blood vessels we can observe, and blood vessels are supplying blood from the heart to the different parts. Is it clear to you, children? So here amphibians pulmonary heart, reptiles also pulmonary heart, and birds and mammals also pulmonary heart we are observing. What do you mean by pulmonary heart? The heart which is pumping blood to the lungs for oxygenation. Is it clear to you? The heart is pumping blood to the lungs for oxygenation. Then that heart is called as a pulmonary heart. So pulmonary heart we are observing from the class amphibians onwards of vertebrates. Amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals we are observing pulmonary heart. Whereas in fish we are observing bronchial heart. Okay, lungs are not helping. Okay, the heart is not pumping blood to the lungs, but where it is sent gills. I have drawn the diagram also, you can check it. Is it clear to you? So the fish is having bronchial heart. Is it clear to children? So in that way there is a evolution of a transport system which we are observing in the higher animals. That is from primitive animals to higher animals. Is it clear to children? So read the lesson thoroughly. It is very very important for your exam also. Is it clear? 4 marks question. Then here it is mentioned, do you know the human circulatory system can move 1 ml of blood from the heart to the foot. Okay? And back 1 ml of blood is supplied to the from heart to the foot and back to the heart. Approximately 2 meters and it is happening in 60 seconds. 1 minute. Is it clear to you? Whereas it would take more than 60 years for the substances to move across this distance by diffusion. Have you followed? So diffusion is the process. Whereas if it is happening, what is that? Other than that human circulation, what is 60 years it will take? Is it clear to children? That is the greatness of our circulatory system. Have you followed? So till now we completed the evolution of transport system. Tomorrow we will discuss about other components of the lesson. Thank you.